Venom: The Last Dance.
Kind of looking forward to it. I gotta admit, there's a couple on your list where it's like, oh, I didn't look hard enough on my list, and this would have dropped off.
They're sort of like Black Adam. They both made money, which is the big thing with sequels and superhero films. And of all the Sony movies that aren't Spider-Man, Venom films are the only decent ones out there.
Is this good casting or is that bad casting?
If you have to even ask about casting, there's something a little off. The fact that we have...
I'm giving you a chance, sweetie. We are Venom!
Your number 11 film is Venom: The Last Dance, or Venom 3.
That is correct.
Yes, Tom Hardy coming back. A couple of the cast changes, though.
Michelle Williams, I suspect her price was too high, and they were like, it's a third. What do we care?
Well, she was kind of underutilized in both the first couple
Juno
films.
Temple will be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Juno Temple will be fine. Chiwetel Ejiofor plays a good second lead in Doctor Strange, so why not add him to this film? So tell me about Venom: The Last Dance, Venom 3.
They're perfectly fine films. Now, that said, I've already noted Michelle Williams. She was part of the charm of the earlier installments, such as they were. So I'm not expecting much either. The woman she wrote the previous two versions, the director,
Kelly Marcel.
Thank you. But she is a first-time director. I'm not expecting much. I'll probably be fine with it. While I'm kind of looking forward to it, I got to admit, there's a couple on your list where it's like, oh, I didn't look hard enough. I could have had that on my list, and this would have dropped off. Yeah, so I'm predicting, actually, it's going to get a below-average IMDb score. It is... it's the sequel to the sequel of a character that no one's really that interested in. Yeah, I don't see this doing that well, but I'm still kind of looking forward to it. Like I said, I think it'll be fine.
I have Kelly Marcel's part of her IMDb page up on the screen. Because this is her directorial debut, I just took a screenshot of her writing credits. And it is sort of interesting because she was the screenwriter for Cruella. She was the screenwriter for Saving Mr. Banks, both of which are good films.
She's an A-list. Like, she's a legit feature film writer.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't question her chops, but still, first time is first time. First time in a big studio picture. I hope she makes the boss happy.
They are fine.
They're fine.
But that's what those movies are. They're fun.
Had to quit.
But, they're sort of like Black Adam. They both made money, which is the big thing with sequels and superhero films, and I'm okay with that. And, and of all the Sony movies that aren't Spider-Man, I would say that
will make money.
Yeah, that's true too. But of the Sony Spider-verse films that aren't Spider-Man, this is the Venom films are the only decent ones out there. So decent. Fine. That's as nice as we're going to get, I think, with these two films.
Oh, yeah.
I like the second one better than the first one because the first one spent too long trying to figure out how to say symbiote instead of symbiote. But, when I see the trailers for this film, it kind of, okay, so they're on the run. It's not much of a story, but it is Tom Hardy.
Yeah, like I said, he'll be fine. Like, he'll be better than fine. He is one of the writers. Him and Ms. Marcel did co-write it. I mean, but I am not expecting much. And if it gets a below average, or what I call a below average, like below 6.2 on an IMDb rating, that's below average to me. I'll be like, yeah, no, that's what I predicted. That's what I expected.
So why
anything better than that? I'd be like, wow.
Yeah,
good for you.
I'm kind of the same way. So I guess if that's the question, if neither one of us have better than fine expectations for Venom: The Last Dance, how did this end up on your list? I mean, granted, it is number 11, but it is still on your list. There's a lot of movies coming out this fall.
Listen, there's always some that ends up on a list, especially when you got 11. Who the comes up with 11 for a list.
It's an
Eugene, my
odd
friend.
number. It's more clickable.
It is an odd number. And honestly, I'm like kind of, well, I'd still see it. I'm still kind of interested. Again, I'm not expecting much, but I'm trying to weigh how I think it will do with most audiences versus, kind of thing I enjoy. But like I said, I'll wait until I've got 2 movies on your list highlighted on where it's like, oh, I should have picked that. But I'll wait until we get to that point on your list. Believe me, you're number 11. No. That was at the bottom of my list for a while. And then it's like, nope. Venom pushed it off the bottom.
So we're both kind of meh on Venom 3. It should be fun. It's probably not going to be earth shattering. Do you think it's going to be just more of the same of the first 2 Venom films?
No. I will not be surprised by anything. At no time will I be going, wow, I didn't see that coming, unless it's really terrible. Or really good. Like that, I'll be surprised if it's really good. But I expect I'm going to see the exact same thing I've seen in all these kind of movies. And I'll be fine with that.
The weird thing is I love Tom Hardy. I like the character of Venom, but I don't know if Eddie Brock / Venom is a good fit for Tom Hardy. Do you think he's miscast in this role at all?
Yeah. Really, I have no opinion on that. And honestly, it's got to be really glaringly bad miscasting before I give a rat's what. I'm one of those guys where it's like, if no one ever talked about what is this good casting or is that bad casting or any of that, I'd be happy. I'd be like, great, less bull.
If you have to even ask about casting, there's something a little off, I think. Because, as they say, 90% of directing is good casting. So, the fact that we have an Oscar-nominated actor, we've had, in the past, we had Michelle Williams as an Oscar-winning actress in these films, and it doesn't seem to make a difference how good the actors are. It just kind of is very middling.
By the time a talent is cast, like so many other things are happening, right? That you're like, what does anyone expect out of the talent after, especially a big machine? Marvel, any of these big franchise operations, whether it be Sony, Marvel, however their corporate configuration is, that is a huge machine with a ton of people with a lot of notes. I think Dakota Johnson is, I think she's an but I also recognize she's got talent. She has skills. I saw Madam Web. I forced myself to watch the whole thing. And I felt bad for her because, it's like she's got control over that kind of thing. She has nothing, nada, squat control, and she is the named star. So if we're talking about poor casting, there are already a bunch of problems.
Yeah, and I think
before that person came to, well, at least I'm getting paid.
And for whatever reason, that is just something that pops up in the Sony Spider-verse, the Sony Marvel universe. It just, for some reason, there's something that's lost in translation. If it's Amy Pascal, if it's studio itself,
so many people, so many, and honestly, this is something I've talked about before. It is hard to make a great movie. It's hard. Most movies are average, and the more people you get involved, the more, well, like a committee. No real pro screenwriter is actually worried about AI, except how the employer is going to try and screw them out of money. But they're not going, oh, wow, yeah, the committee of committees will write good scripts.
Well,
it's hard enough when you get the committee think already. We see that in a lot of this generic mush. So, there you go. That's way on a wide tangent on what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't care about
Well,
the casting.
it's always interesting, too, when you talk about someone's directorial debut, like with Kelly Marcel. They always say that if you can get a directorial debut in a sequel in an already existing franchise, that's a good soft landing way to get your PGA card.
For her, all she was really got to do is deliver the product the studio is expecting. Like all these big, remember all the drama about Madam Web and how could they write these, how could they hire these writers, et cetera, et cetera. They've written so much crap before. And I, like a lot of other people, were like, you know what? They made the boss happy. That's why they kept getting hired.
This is true, too.
They delivered the product the boss asked for. Who cares about
and didn't make money. That's, it is show business. It is the business part of show business. So
they kept the boss happy.
Yeah,
and
is the boss happy?
And they
did it make
knew
money?
After they let it go, it'll turn into something completely different. Movies are written 3 times: in the writing, in the production, and then in the edit suite.
Are you planning to watch this in theaters when it comes out?
Maybe. That's a big maybe.
That's a very dedicated maybe.
But, it's one of those movies where it's like it probably will look no better than in the theater. You know what I mean? Like, there's some movies where I'm like, there's some movies on my, hey, that looks cool, but that can wait till streaming. This is, it's probably going to look its best in the theater, and it ain't getting better after.
Well, and even,
like that
even
is its peak.
Even this screen cap of the CGI morphed over Tom Hardy's body, I'm hard on CGI, and this exact screen cap is an exact reason why. I think the CGI in general keeps getting, closer to the uncanny valley, but it hasn't crossed it yet. And when I see stuff like this screen capture, it just kind of goes to show, well, not everything can be Pixar.
It's always a tough one, with that kind of thing. Once you're starting to do these even more cartoony superhero characters, that's what you're going to get. There's certain things that are already priced into the market has priced that in. I have priced this kind of CGI in. I'm not expecting any better.
Ultimately, is it going to be fun? That's the big question. The first 2 films, first one was kind of Second film, I think, was more fun, a little too horror for me, but better than the first, and so hopefully this one, I think. This is one that I don't plan to watch this in theaters, even though, as you say, this is probably the best place, the best looking that it's going to be is in theaters.
Yeah.
But
well,
I definitely going to catch it on streaming at some point.
I did say maybe.
Maybe, yes.
Maybe.
The qualified maybe. It is interesting.
No, not a qualified maybe. A solid maybe.
A solid maybe. Made out of balsa wood.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
So, what do you guys think of Venom: The Last Dance? Are you planning to go watch Venom 3 in theaters? Let me know in the comments section below this video. I've been Dragon Movie Guy. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.